Welcome back to the League-Kempner House on Galveston Island. If you're watching these videos in order, you should have seen the initial cleanup of the yard, or the jungle as I call it. It looks so much nicer now with all the underbrush gone. Grass is starting to grow and the neighbors aren't afraid to walk by at night. I'm really pleased with how the yard in general is coming along. But buried in all that tangle of growth was this greenhouse. In all the years I've been walking around this house, peering over the fence, trying to see what's buried behind all that jungle, I never noticed that it was here. See how beautiful it looks in the realtor's photo? And see how sad it looks in mine? My photos don't lie. From the Sanborn maps, I know that by 1947, there was a greenhouse on site. It was located by the garage. That greenhouse is long gone, but I was fortunate enough to receive this photograph from one of Eliza Kempner's great-grandchildren that shows this greenhouse somewhere in the 1960s or early 1970s. It's such a great photo to have. The greenhouse we're looking at today doesn't appear on that 1947 Sanborn map, so it might seem logical to assume that it was built sometime after that. But there's a catch. I don't know if that map is accurate or not, because the large addition built on the house in 1920 is also missing. So the Sanborn map is not a definitive answer. I don't know exactly when this greenhouse was built, but I'm guessing between 1920 and 1950. That's a big range, but I'm working to narrow it down. Greenhouses became popular in the U.S. following the 1853 World's Fair in New York, where the star attraction was the New York Crystal Palace, a giant greenhouse made from iron and glass. In 1849, Frederick Lord started building greenhouses for his neighbors. He made it a full-time profession and joined with his son-in-law, William Burnham, to create Lord & Burnham. They became the leading designer and builder of greenhouses in the U.S. and Canada for more than 125 years. Some of the notable conservatories they built were the Conservatory of Flowers in Golden Gate Park, the New York Botanical Garden, and the United States Botanic Garden in Washington, D.C. The company's main business, however, was greenhouse kits, made of cypress wood and iron that could be shipped in pieces and assembled on site like a giant erector set, just like the one at the League House. You can see it's built on top of a concrete base, and here's the plaque on the door that let me know it was the Lord & Burnham. The greenhouse is in a sad state. Like the garage, it's covered by the deed restrictions on the property and can't be torn down, but I don't know why anybody would want to. The inside was pretty overgrown and full of trash. It doesn't look like it here, but I'd actually been cleaning this out on and off for weeks when I got bored doing other stuff in the house. There was a ton of junk inside, parts of an old beehive, lots of pots, some kind of animal cage. It was just full of stuff. Ronaldo demolished the rotting planting tables, and after a few months of work here and there, it was finally cleared out. It's got this great gear system on top where you pull the chain to rotate the levers that open the top of the greenhouse for ventilation to help regulate the temperature inside. The steel frame's in pretty good shape for the most part. There are a couple of places that will have to be cut out and welded up and put some new steel in, but overall the frame's not bad. The greenhouse has copper gutters on the outside, which are pretty heavily damaged, but I think they can be repaired. Here's an outside view of where a tree had fallen on the greenhouse. During the initial yard work, we got this little tree out and cut down anything else that put the greenhouse at risk. So this is sad from the inside. Here's where that tree fell through and broke out a lot of panes of glass. This is so dangerous. Look at that. It's like a glass sword. Could probably kill a night walker. The greenhouse is another structure that's not connected to the main house. The repair of it could sit here for 2 or 3 years before we do it, but instead we're doing it now. So same reasons as the garage. We're going to talk about it in a minute, but let's first do a quick tour of the greenhouse and see what's going on. We have a lot of rot in the wood. A tree fell through and broke glass. There's rust. You can see we've started the clean out process. Ronaldo's been working real hard the last couple of weeks clearing this out. We've still got to finish on this side. The only thing growing in the greenhouse were weeds. It is a weed house right now. But we'll get all this cleared out. We're going to take off all this glass and examine the structure and see what needs to be done to restore it. So we've got a ways to go, but we're making good progress. Given all the work to be done on the house, it seems prudent not to put any more time and effort into this until the main house is complete. But remember my list. Safety is the first thing that has to be addressed. You saw that dangerous glass dagger-like shard. I just can't run the risk of glass falling and hurting someone. And after close inspection, given the level of rot and deterioration of the wood and the rafters, there is risk of this whole thing coming down in a high wind situation. Safety is the #1 priority, and this greenhouse was not safe. Robert and his guys were here 2 days before Tropical Storm Nicholas was expected to make landfall, so we bit the bullet and removed all the glass. It was a slow and tedious process because they had to be very careful with the glass, and a lot of it was stuck in place with some kind of construction adhesive. The big heater that would have been used to keep plants warm in the winter was very stubborn and did not want to come out. It took quite a while, which I find ironic because no one would walk under it because we were all afraid of it falling. But in the course of a couple of days, everything came down, and remarkably, very few pieces of glass were broken in the process. Now that the glass is gone, we just have this sad shell of a building. I probably should have numbered those. This empty shell is just going to sit. There's nothing to be done to stop further deterioration because everything is so far gone it doesn't really matter. All the wood has to be replaced anyway, with the exception of the lower window frames. I was shocked that that wood making up those frames on the sides is in remarkably good condition, and with some cleaning and proper treatment, it can be saved. So I might go ahead and do that now. With one more task complete, hopefully all efforts can turn back towards the house until something else unexpected pops up, which it always does. There's so much wrong with this house, and the work to save it is non-stop. Don't miss out on any of the fun. If you're new, get caught up on the previous videos and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss all the excitement trying to save the incredible League-Kempner House here on Galveston Island. I look forward to seeing you next time.